Alright, let's take the maximum amount of space for our code. You do not necessarily have to do this, but for you it's nice if you can read what I'm typing. At the top we see our type declaration of type canvas item. Below we see our vertex, fragment and light function. We're only looking at the fragment and vertex in this section, so let's remove the light function. Just select everything and press the backspace button. Now let's start with the most famous function, which is the fragment function. The main purpose of the fragment function is to modify the colors and positions of the pixels of the texture. Inside the fragment function, we call pixels fragments. We do this because in the stage of this fragment function, the pixels are not really pixels yet. They are still in the making, let's say. So when this function has its work done, then at the final step, when all the fragments get rendered on the screen, then we can call them pixels. Alright, let's start by changing its color to red. But first, let's just remove this text. We don't need that. And make sure that you have one tab before you start typing. This is not needed, but it is the community standard way of formatting our code. And in this course, we will just follow the community standard. So let's start by changing its color to red. For this, we need to write to the color variable. Let's type color GB is vec2 0.0 and always use a dot comma at the end, else the editor will complain. Here you see how this line of code turns our zombie completely red. In the previous section, we already saw that we can make use of the RGB colors in a sprite. The built-in color variable has an in-out type, which means we can read and write to it. Reading means that we can get values from a variable, and writing means that we can override its current values. The color variable is a vector-4 data type, holding the components red, green, blue, and alpha, like you have seen in the previous section. Oh, and when we say component, we describe the index of a vector. In other words, the first position of a vector is called the first component of a vector. So in this case, the red channel is the first component. We can declare which color we like to write to, and we do this by specifying the first character of a color. So in this case, we said color, point, and then GB, like you see here, which refers to the green and blue channel. Oh, and also important to note, we have to add a dot comma at the end of every line. It tells the code interpreter that we're done with this specific line of code and that we can move on to the next. And I see I owe you one more explanation. We say vec2, so you might expect 2 values, but I only written down 1. This is because if you are going to use the same float twice, then you can just write it shorter and just say, I want a float of 0.0 at both components. It's essentially the same as writing this. Alright, now it's your turn. Make the zombie completely green. Pause the video and we will continue when you're done. Did you manage to do it? Let's see. So here we can say RGB, and then over here we can read our color variable this time. And then all I need is setting the blue channel to 0 and we change our vector. So we can write to the color variable in a similar way that we did with red. We want to only use the green channel, so let's turn off the other 2 colors by assigning a 0 value to them. I also used a slightly different syntax this time. This way, you can see that there are multiple ways of writing towards the color variable. If you wrote it a little bit different, but you still see a green zombie, then it is completely fine. I used a vector with 3 components instead of 2. We again set the first component to 0 and the second to the original green color of the texture. Because as we just learned, we cannot only write, but we can also read the values of the color variable. Cool, right? The last component is the blue channel. We also set that one to 0. Maybe some of you already discovered it, but at this moment the RGB colors are not 0, 1, 0, like some would expect. Remember, the color variable holds the colors of the original texture, and our texture was not completely white. Only then all colors have to be 1. Let me demonstrate that real quick. So if we would say that all our values are 1, then we get a white zombie. You see? Let's put it back the way it was. Before we do a lot more coding, I need to explain one more concept. It is really needed if you want to understand how the fragment function is really working. It's about the way how the computer or other hardware reads our code. You might be aware that normal code, let's say GDScript for example, gets written from top to bottom. It starts at line 1 and ends at line 100 for example. Once all lines of code are completed, the script is done. Shaders, however, work a bit different. They must be able to do separate calculations for every pixel on the screen. So instead of running just once, the fragment function has to run over and over again until it has called for every single pixel inside the texture. This could potentially increase to over a staggering million times for a single frame. If the fragment function would just run once, we would only see one green pixel, like demonstrated at the top left right corner of the texture. So programming inside of the fragment function is like writing code for a single fragment. We can look at it like the fragment function is inside of a big loop. But what makes it even harder is that it does not run on a fixed order. So it does not go from left to right. And on top of that, it also runs in parallel. This means the fragment function runs many times at the same time. This makes it unaware of what happens inside of other fragments inside the shader. Being aware of this is very important going forward. When we write to the color variable, we're only overwriting one pixel at a time, being able to make a different calculation depending on a certain logic, their position or color for example. Grasping this concept is crucial as it reshapes our approach to coding, compelling us to think more deliberately about how to structure our logic. So keep this in mind going forward. But no worry, you will get used to it soon enough. Now that's out of the way, let's continue our coding. Alright, let's simply just change our color green to 1. You see what happens? Now we set the green channel to 1 for all the fragments in the texture. By doing this, we lost all definition. What remains is a green shape. Now it's your turn again. Make the zombie completely black. Think back about the previous section. It was something about shutting off the light. Pause the video and when you're done, just continue again. Did you manage to do it? The only thing we needed to do was setting it to 0. Let's make our code a bit more readable again. To remove these two last zeros. I want to show you one more thing, so I know for sure that you understand how assigning different components of a vector works. Make the zombie blue, but let's keep its definition this time. It's all up to you. Alright, pause the video. And did you manage to do it? So what we can do is we set a vector 2 here. And then we can use our color again and we said we wanted blue. Alright, I think we got it.